Hello and welcome to another episode of the Destiny Truthcast. This is episode 57. I am Lost Souls, and sadly not joined today by RedWingGirl. She had an emergency with one of her pets, had to take it to the emergency clinic. So RWG, hope that Rue is okay, and just hope everything's all right on your end, and look forward to having you back next week to talk more Destiny. With us today we have a returning guest, finally, Pro Yunkinator. I'm hoping there's not a tornado bearing down on your house right now to take you to Oz. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing good, Souls. It's good to finally to make a comeback and be on here again and talk some Destiny with you guys. Thanks for having me back.
Yep, we've tried, I think, 3 or 4 times the last 5 or 6 months to get you on, and there's always something, some kind of calamity going on. You were supposed to be on the episode with Tassi and got in, and your equipment wasn't working that day. You're supposed to be on, was it last week or the week before you were supposed to be on?
I think it was last week when the Midwest had this ginormous heat wave. My AC blew up, got a new AC, and then a Midwest torrential downpour knocked out power. Man, it was a mess.
Well, happy to have you here today. We also have with us a first-time guest, Justin Giver. How are you doing today, Justin?
All right. Thanks for having me. It's been a long time coming, I think.
All right. It's another guest that we've tried having on forever and ever. Been trying to get you on. I think you said the first time we messaged about you joining was, what, a year and a half ago or so?
Yeah, it was about a year and a half ago. And then on and off ever since. I just haven't been able to figure out the technical side. So this last week we dug in, got it figured out, and here I am. I'm glad to be part of the Destiny group.
Well, Justin, as a first-time guest, we'll start with you. Just let the community know a little bit about yourself.
I'm 40 years old. I've been gaming for a long time, although mostly in sports. Destiny is my first-person shooter, and I've literally fallen in love with it. I run a big clan. I've played it for thousands of hours, and I love helping out. And I like being a troll once in a while on the forums, just like everyone else.
So when you play Destiny, how do you like to play it? Are you a PvE, PvP player? And what class do you main, and what type of weapons do you like to use?
In Destiny, I really main my Striker Titan, but I play all 9 subclasses. I love PvE, I love PvP, I love the raids. Literally, I do it all. I just finished 100% of the last Age of Triumph book the other day. I've gotten Max Grimoire for a long time. I do it all, and I love every little bit of it. Maybe not so much Trials.
So did you get in and get to play the beta very much?
I played a lot of the beta. I probably played 150 PvP matches, and I bet you I played at least 60 to 70 strikes.
Oh, wow. So you dug in deep with the beta.
It started that I just wanted to play it, get used to all the different weapons, and really flesh out what was good, what was bad. And then the grind hit me. I needed to get all those weapons, and actually it was the armor pieces that it just wouldn't drop, so I had to keep going back to that strike and play it over and over. But at the same time, I loved playing it. It didn't get old after 50 or 60 runs.
So what was your biggest takeaway as far as Destiny 1 versus Destiny 2? Do you find that it's moving in a direction that you had hoped it would go, or do you like the direction it's headed? Or are there things that you wish maybe would have come forward? What's your overall take?
I was really surprised at the weapon change with the 2 primaries, the 1 power. But they're giving it to me. I'll play it like it is. I think for me, the best takeaway was the PvP had little to no lag ever. I mean, I ran 150 times through it, and I bet you I didn't have more than a handful that had little glitches. That was huge for me, because I see red bars every match all the time. So that part of it, where a match is a match and it's all fair and even, that was the best part for me.
And how's it been going back to D1 after the post-beta?
Hell. It's been horrible. I can't. I just want to break my controller.
Is it the weapons? Is it the lag? Is it kind of everything? What's been the one thing about going back to D1 that stood out like, holy shit, how is this something I've been dealing with after playing D2?
I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for this, but all those great PvP players who stick to using stickies and their abilities, and that's it.
Destiny 1, the Saga of Icebreaker.
Yeah, Icebreaker and stickies. Throw a sticky in a general direction and hope it sticks and somebody else cleans it up, or you do. It's a lot different. D2 is all about tactics, and D1 is all about going in and being Rambo.
So Yunk, you were on very, very early on. I don't even, like, I wasn't even sure if you'd actually made it on. You've had so many missed attempts. But I don't think when you were on initially, we were really getting into about the player as much as we do now. So if you could, let the community know a little bit about yourself and what you do within the Destiny community.
All right. Well, I've been a day 2 player, so I didn't get Destiny when it dropped. I got it the second day after, and I've pretty much exclusively played Destiny since then, since the beginning. I am mainly a PvP guy, and it's not that Destiny PvP. I don't just not like Destiny PvP. I'm not just a PvE player, player versus environment player at all very much. So I stick to PvP. I will occasionally dabble in a Nightfall or a raid or something, but I spend a lot of time playing PvP and just hanging out, playing trials with my buddies. So have a good time doing that. And I recently, well, never.
So you're also a Navy veteran and a Destiny streamer.
That is correct, and that's actually why I wasn't a day 1 player. I was still on the submarine returning from a deployment the day it dropped, so I had to get it the second day, and I got out in 2014. So I've living the civilian life now, and I do stream. I've been streaming for 6 or 7 months now. It's a lot of fun. It's helped me enjoy gaming more. I've been able to connect to different people, and it's been a blast. I recommend, everybody try streaming. It's just fun. It at least for me, it's helped me to be able to enjoy the game more fully, probably.
So do you particularly then just stream trials runs? And when you're streaming, how is that experience for you interacting with your people watching your channel and whatnot?
I normally probably stream trials just because the way my work schedule and family schedule is set up, that most of my streaming time is over the weekend. So trials is kind of the thing to do, especially where Destiny 1 is at right now. There's not a whole lot going on. And my the streaming emblem that you picked up for 70 hours of streaming or something, when you wear that, you a lot of times get a lot of the people that you've played against or are playing against in your stream, and it's been really fun to interact with people that way. There was a time about a year ago where me and my fire team were just goofing around on Pantheon, running Bubble Titans with suppressor grenades and Crest of Alpha Lupis, and we ended up getting about everybody we played against would hop into the chat and be like, that was the craziest round of trials I've ever played in our lives, because everybody was suppressed and we were using swords instead of heavy, and it was a lot of fun to add another aspect to the PvP area where you're not just killing some unknown guy. You're killing them and having a good time, and then interacting with them after the fact, and be able to talk about plays or what happened in this scenario. And it's a lot of fun. And with that, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a website called Guardian Theater. You'll have to Google it, but you can go and type in your gamer tag, and it will show you any streamers that have played against you, and you can see how they react. Like if you made a good play or got a lucky snipe, or a crazy sticky grenade across the map, you can actually watch their stream when you played against them and see how they reacted to some of the plays you made. So it's added a whole new dynamic to Destiny for me that I just love.
And hopefully you're not in their stream popping a Fist of Havoc and completely missing the map and flying to your death.
Oh, there are plenty of whiff supers. I need to make my whiffed super. highlight or low light reel, I guess. But it's just fun.
And real quickly, how is life on the submarine? Because that's something I don't think I could ever do. I'm not real big on oceans and water, let alone being underneath it in a giant can.
So if you don't think about it, it's okay. It's always like 70 degrees and fluorescent. But if you, for me at least, if I started letting myself think about, okay, I haven't seen the sun in 2.5 months, or, I'm hundreds and thousands of feet under the water, if you start thinking about it too much, it gets weird. But the trick is to kind of not think about that and just get into a grind and focus on getting through the day and getting home.
Well, glad that you are again finally here and able to join today. And so real quickly before we get into today's topics, what was your overall take on the beta and the difference in play? And as someone that plays a lot of trials, which won't be in D2 at the start, what was your experience with the strike, the PvP that we did play, and just the different experience of D2?
So unfortunately, I did not get to play as much of the beta as I had wanted. I took like 5 days off of work for this, but like we talked about, the AC went out and the power went out, so my beta time was cut short, unfortunately. So I ran the 3 story missions that you needed for each character, and it was fun. It was, to me, it was nothing new or nothing too different from Destiny 1. I ran the strike once just to say that I did it. And it was fun. I ran as the Titan. I was the Sentinel. And to me, the minigun with the barricade was a sweet business. With the barricade where you can peek over and auto reload, that was so fun. That made PvE a little better for me, especially in the absence of power weapon or a lot of power weapon ammo. That minigun with the barricade and the auto reload, that was a blast. That was just a mobile turret just mowing people down. So that was pretty fun, but I did only play it once. Like I said, I'm not a huge PvE guy. But as far as PvP went, man, I had a blast. I had so much fun. I thought it was incredibly balanced. There were times where I would get outplayed by some guy using a hand cannon. I'm like, okay, well, let me go switch to a hand cannon and try this out. Then I get outplayed by somebody that had an SMG, and I'm like, well, let me go use an SMG. And I felt like there was nothing that was just that you had to use. Pulse rifles were pretty good, but I think that was more map dependent. I think it was because it was a medium range map for the control game mode that made pulses seem a little strong. But I think everything was very well balanced. I enjoyed no ability spam. I enjoyed no super spam where you get on the wrong end of a super train and people are just running supers through you left and right. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. The one thing I was disappointed with was I spent some time with Arcstrider, and I thought it was terrible. I was not using it very well, apparently. So when I went, on social media and Twitter and the forums to kind of complain about Arcstrider, I saw some people that are like, hey, this, and I think you were one of them, that you just got to kind of learn how to use it. That it's really, really a good subclass. And that's what I like, like that. And we've had this conversation before in Destiny 1 that a lot of the internal checks and balances are there. It just takes some playtime with each aspect of it to discover it. So I was super impressed with the balance of the weapons, with the classes. I liked the pace of game. I liked the way that the power weapons spawned. And I even, just like Justin said, I thought the connections were great. I think I maybe experienced lag once out of, I probably only played 60 games. I didn't get to play as many as I wanted, but a laggy connection maybe once. So I was super impressed. I had a lot of fun, and it was very hard to go back to Destiny 1. I was it the Tuesday after the beta ended. My stream schedule has me streaming that night, so I tried to load into Destiny 1, and I ended up just sitting at the tower. I tried to play some Clash or Rift or whatever it was, and that wasn't doing it, so I backed out, and I'm like, let's play some Overwatch. Tried to play some Overwatch, and that wasn't any fun. I ended up just having to leave the stream early because I wasn't feeling it. I had a Destiny 2 size hole in my heart.
Well, as far as the Arcstrider, I was actually discussing this with someone in a post on the forums today, and they were, saying how they hated it, and it's got no utility in PvE and can't take out, crowds or majors or bosses. And to be fair, my first playthrough with it in the beta, I went into the beta expecting to hate it, and my first playthrough I was not impressed in both PvP and PvE. In PvP, I popped my super and immediately got shut down by a couple people team shooting. PvE, I wasn't impressed. But then I remembered they had talked about you could do a dodge during your super, and so I looked up that, and once I incorporated that in and really started using just the dodge in general, even not in the super, it completely changed it for me to where, again, it's probably my favorite subclass like ever at this point. Just going through decimating piles of ads and PvE, it gives you a boost to your damage after you do a dodge. Orange bars were just melting to it. Obviously, it's not a boss killer. It's a melee attack, so it's not ranged. But I don't know. I had a lot of fun with it. Really enjoyed it. To some of the other complaints, there's a lot of complaints about like Golden Gun being weak, and it was. And the thing with this build was, it was tuned differently than like the reveal event. All the enemies had higher health. The boss was a bullet sponge compared to what we played initially. And I don't know if this is the case or not, but it just seemed to me, particularly with the Golden Gun and the Dawnblade, that they were two classes that were in that initial build, and then when they did this build that we played for the beta, all the enemies were tuned up higher and whatnot, and it just seemed like they didn't go back and adjust Golden Gun and Dawnblade to make up for what they did with the enemies. And those two classes and supers just seemed really off for me in this build and seemed really weak compared to what we played initially.
I kind of agree with you on some of that. But also, when you look at, say, the Dawnblade or the Arc Strider, they're about the different playstyles. And I think that's really good in Destiny 2, where different playstyles are definitely going to be able to use the different subclasses more proficiently.
What did you play the most in D2, Justin? Which class did you like the best of what we played in the beta?
Personally, I liked the Titan Striker. But I played all of them, and I really liked learning to play them all, and I'm really going to like, I guess, getting more proficient in the other ones. I'm pretty good with an Arc Titan. But, for instance, Dawnblade, I really felt like I was a neon sign. I'd jump in the air, I'd pop my super, I'd be raining hellfire down on the Cabal, and I had no cover, I had nowhere to go, and they just shot you out of the sky. The same thing when you played PvP. So I've got to make some changes in my own tactics when using that subclass.
Well, that subclass, again, it played differently in at the reveal event, because, yeah, you were up there and you're kind of, as RedWingGirl likes to say with the floofer, you're like a skeet target, up in the sky. But at the reveal event, it was just so much more powerful, and just things were dying to your super, to where in this build they weren't, and they were shooting back and killing you. So I think that's something that is unfortunate, that people didn't get to experience kind of that full power of it. And the same thing with the Golden Gun, that was just so weak in this build. And I think that the cluster that they put out with the 6-shot cluster instead of the 3-shot with the longer duration was a poor choice for what the beta was, because it was not a good PvP build, and that was, kind of what a lot of people were going to over and over again with the beta. So, but I guess another thing that brings me to is, there's another post today about a shooting range being in at the farm, and I posted on that a couple weeks ago and got a lot of responses saying that's what Patrol's for. But I found, as I played the beta, that I just the whole time wish that there was a shooting range area that we could go in. As I went through the strike and I was trying to test hand cannon versus scout rifle, and trying to flip back and forth between them and see the damage numbers on critical hits on body shots from what ranges, doing the same thing with pulse rifles, trying to learn the grenade launchers, as terrible as they were, and how they ricochet and how best to use them with the limited amount of heavy ammo we had, and just experience the different heavies, trying to learn the supers. I didn't ever got down the Sentinel Titan, the shield throw, but you'd have one throw of the shield and then you'd have to wait 7.5 minutes to be able to try it again. It'd be nice if there was that dedicated shooting range or whatever where you could try these things out and just practice it and get it down. The Arc Strider, so many people didn't learn dodge or the combos. So I don't know either of your thoughts on it, but to me it just seems like, one, it would be something else fun to do within the farm, and another activity where if you gave like rewards or had like a leaderboard for top scorer time or whatever, that it would be something fun besides the soccer there. But just the utility of it, I think, would be something really incredible in the game for people that really like to get into the detail of what weapons do what and how best to learn to use their grenades or throw them or whatever.
I 100% agree. I think knowing how your gear, your character, and your weapons behave is like the first step in not being frustrated with the game. The example that I always go back to was Destiny 1. I started off as a warlock, and in Crucible I was always getting shoulder charged, and I was like, these stupid Titans, they're overpowered. Bungie, please nerf them. Well, I finally made a Titan, used shoulder charge, and I realized how easy it was to be killed while shoulder charging. And I think that being able to be in a safe environment where you can test how you want to test your gear and your abilities is absolutely key into understanding the dynamics that Bungie has in place. I don't think that, these guys that want to test PvP weapons and damage fallouts, I don't think they should have to trick matchmaking into putting them with their buddies so they won't kill each other, or if they want to test super abilities in PvP is, try to load up into a matchmaking and send messages like, hey, don't kill me, I'm trying to test damage output. I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think it only benefits the community by letting these guys get in there and what's the guy you've had on before that does all the
Mercules with the massive
stats
breakdown?
Yeah, Mercules. He used to go through hell and back trying to test and get some of the data for his stuff, and it looks like he's kind of going to be in the same place again for Destiny 2, as there's no private matches. So, give us an environment where we can solo queue and choose to have, PvP type targets out there where they have 200 hit points. And I don't know. I don't see a con. I don't see a reason why not.
I got to agree with you there. There's no reason not to have a shooting range. There's so many weapons, so many different ranges that these things work in, and going into patrol to try and figure it out is going to be useless. If you've got a place, I don't know if either of you played Dead Space, but they put a target range in there, and you had top scores. So not only was it a mini game inside the game, but you also learned the weapons that you're using. If you don't know your own weapons, especially for more casual players, they don't really understand those weapons. If you can go and spend 20 minutes with a couple of guns in a shooting range and figure out where your damage fall off is, how close you've got to be to your enemy to do the best damage, you may find out that while you like your hand cannons, you're much better at scouts because that's where you play your game from. That's your play style. And you'll make that switch and you'll become an instantly better player.
Yeah, and I think if you put it in a D1 setting, you can just go to the hand cannons and all the changes that were made, and a lot of them were because players didn't ever really understand how to effectively use these weapons because of, again, the damage fall off, the bloom that was on the guns, where if you're within like 45 yards, you're going to land your shot. If you're at 46 yards or further, you have a 50% chance that shot's going to miss, to any direction. And the players that did learn their weapons and learn exactly where they were effective from. I mean, they were gods in PvP with the weapons, while the other players say, this weapon sucks, the bloom's terrible. The first curse was a perfect example of a weapon that just everyone hated on and said it should be great, but it's trash. And I only saw it once, but I saw one player that mastered the first curse in a game, and I swear to God, it was like they had Golden Gun the entire game. They were so deadly with it. And this is, again, something that if you put this in, and so many games have done it. I mean, I go back to the original Perfect Dark, and you could go and they had targets that would do different things, spin around real fast, move different directions, and it gave you a score, and you could get your best times or scores or whatever. You put that in there and have that reset like weekly at the farm, turn it into a competition there. But beyond that, like you said, Yunk, with Mercules, who had to go in and get people to, hey, whisper them, can we stop shooting each other in PvP and just let me test some stuff or whatever. There's just too many pros and not really any cons that I can see. And I just don't understand all the Go Play Patrol comments, because it's more content in the game and just boggles my mind with all the talk of wanting more content that's something people are against.
Well, and shooting guys in patrol doesn't tell me how many headshots I need with the hand cannon at 50 meters for a kill. I mean, it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Well, and how many people know what the difference between 43 meters is and 45 meters is when they're playing in patrol?
Yeah. So another big topic the last 4 or 5 days has been the announcement that our characters will not speak. And there'll be a couple points to this discussion, but I just want to start with both of you and see what your take has been on our Guardians not speaking in D2.
I've been pretty vocal on this one the last couple of days in the forum. I've had several arguments, and I think that our Guardian is mute because we are the Guardian. The story is about us. So while we're playing through the story setting that's been laid out for us, the story is us. If somebody's saying something, I'm probably talking back to Oryx, or I'm talking back to Crota, or I'm talking to my fire team. We're communicating because we are the Guardians. And so for somebody to put the words into my Guardian's mouth, especially as a teen-rated game, it's going to have some ridiculously silly quip about who knows what that may or may not be funny. I'm looking at you, Nolan Bot. I can easily make up my own words. I can talk to the game. I'm sure most of us do. I like it. I really think it adds immersion because you are put in the driver's seat of who your Guardian is.
Well, I've got a confession. I am a terrible cutscene skipper. I kind of just mash the button until the cutscene is over so I can get back into the action. So this isn't really something that affects me one way or the other. And I kind of feel silly even having to ask this, but did Master Chief have a voice in the Halo series? I think he did, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, Master Chief has become one of Bungie's, most iconic characters. So I guess, I don't know. I guess I can understand the argument that you would want to maybe replicate that. But at the same time, your Guardians have so much more customization, and they're supposed to kind of be more tailored to you. That I understand the art. I understand the argument that it breaks the immersion. Or what if the Guardian wasn't saying or thinking or reacting the way that I am? Then you lose that connection that you've built the last 3 years in Destiny 1. So. To me, it doesn't matter one way or the other, but if I had to choose, I probably side with the people that say having them say nothing is better and less disruptive to the flow of connection between character and gamer.
I really wish that RWG had been able to make it today for this discussion. We discussed this at length last night, and to me, it's just been kind of weird seeing this blow up the last few days, because I've obviously been all over the forums for the last 3 years, and it's just something that I never saw the outcry. Yeah, there have been posts about it. Players like Carnival Law have talked about it a lot, and how it has really hurt them feeling any kind of immersion with their character. But for it all of a sudden to be this huge just thing, the last 4 days, it's just kind of been shocking to me, where it's just all over the forums. And I guess to me, it's like, we've talked since the Taken King came out that Destiny 1 was pretty much Destiny 1, and anything that people wanted or had issue with, the focus should be Destiny 2, and give Bungie feedback on what you want Destiny 2 to be. And, so a lot of people, are still in year 3, like, going on about what they want D1 to be, and shocked when there's no new content or whatever. And then here we are 40 days out from D2, and all of a sudden, well, we want voiced characters and our voice guardians in D2. It's something that people should have been asking for 2 years ago, not 40 days before. And go ahead, Justin.
Well, I think it's a good thing. It means that there's nothing else that people can complain about, and so all that's left is our mute guardian. If we're just going to be having such a huge discussion about a mute guardian at this stage of the game, that means that all the other things have probably been fairly well looked after, if that's all that the forum can complain about.
Well, and RWG was, we were talking, and one, the way they've done it with the scenes, like, people are complaining about scenes where, it just doesn't fit, where, someone's talking to us and our guardian doesn't say anything. And the point was that, they really should have just cut those out, or done them differently, told those stories, or done those scenes in a different way. And then the other thing that she brought up was how Luke Smith addressed the community on it. And, her point was that, people are asking these questions, and he comes out and his answers are yup and nope. And it's not good enough. People are there, they're invested in the game, they're trying to take their time to ask you something. Have the professionalism to not just say yup, not just say nope, but to give a reason why. And I agree completely with her on that, it should have gone beyond that. And I think that's was a very poor decision to just come out with those single word answers and not give the detail. And I think it's led to a lot of additional vitriol that didn't need to be, or maybe could have been avoided.
So Luke Smith, I think, is good at his job, but just bad with people. I think he should, the less he probably interacts directly with the community, probably the better, because he's had several misplays that have not painted him well. So some of the question I had on this, the voice for your guardian, like I've said, I'm not a huge player versus environment or story mode type of gamer, but, how do you do it when your guardian has the level of customization that we do? Do you have a different voice actor for female and male guardians? Do you have a separate script for it? I mean, how do you handle it, on that level?
Beyond that, and I was asking RWG this, is would it be weird if, our guardians had a voice, but, you had a warlock, a titan, and a hunter, and each cutscene you had the same voice? Is it really giving you a sense that these are all unique characters if they're all speaking with the same voice? Do you have to record, like you said, Yunk, a separate voice for each? Maybe like the Awoken are different, the Exos are different, the humans are different. I mean, how in depth do you go with it, and how far down that rabbit hole?
Exactly. I think that the PvE and the character customization is too dynamic for a static script. And I think if they came out with a script that our character was supposed to say, I think it would make a lot more people uncomfortable or upset, because it would not, like somebody feels like the recklessness of their hunter wasn't, represented very well, or, the wisdom of the warlock, So I think they've avoided a lot of additional drama or upsetting of a fan base by leaving it out. And I don't know. I can't see an argument good enough to add it, even for Destiny 3. I don't know. I don't see how it's feasible.
I agree with you guys on that. We play 3 different characters. A lot of us, especially the big time grinders. You play 3 different characters with different subclasses. Maybe one's a male, one's female, one's an exo. There's different ways that we're playing this game. We're not just one protagonist going through a story like you are in, say, The Last of Us. This is more like Elder Scrolls, where you've got 9 or 10 different characters and different customization. Every character and every build isn't going to have the exact same idea, the exact same mentality, and the same response to the same stimuli. So why not leave that to the player to think, hey, my Titan is going to say this, and my Warlock does this. And I personally talk back to my television when I'm playing PvE a lot.
I need somebody good with statistics to tell me how many different combinations there are for 3 classes, 3 subclasses, 3 races, and 2 genders. I think it's a lot. I mean, so there you want to put all of that into one static script. I don't think that's possible or good for the game.
Yeah, like I said, I get people are passionate about it. Again, I just think it's just really crazy that all of a sudden it's a thing when it hasn't been really a thing for 3 years of Destiny 1. But, it goes deeper to the, and RWG actually had a good analogy. And this was to Paul Tassi was responding to someone on Twitter that said, as you were saying, Justin, the Guardian is you. If it talks, then it becomes someone else. And Tassi responded, no, 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 no. And RWG's response to that was, I'm attached to my car and it doesn't talk. It's what I use to get around the world in. Same with my Titan Master Class. My analogy, smiley. So, that was kind of her take on it. She is attached to her character. She spends as much time as anyone in the tower trying to set it up just how she wants, trying out different armor pieces, different looks, different shaders. She let it be known when they announced that they were resetting everything that she wanted to continue this 10-year journey. And she said that, even though they've said we can't recustomize existing characters if we import them, if you want to change your look, you have to roll a new character, that she's going to import them because it's important to her to continue this journey with the character she has now, even if there's things that she would like to change, like her unicorn horn, I think, on her hunter. She's just going to keep it so she can continue playing that class. But again, it's a vessel she uses to get around the world in with her Titan and skating around the world or floofing on the Warlock, and that's her extension of her in that world. She's not playing a class that, like you said, when you're playing Master Chief, you're not you in that world, you're Master Chief. So I just thought that was a good analogy. So
you were talking about Luke Smith there and his interactions with the community, and they haven't been that great. But at the same time, I look at Luke Smith kind of like a lawyer. He answers the questions that he's asked, and he doesn't answer anything but that question. And I think the fault in the question and answer isn't in Luke Smith this time. It's on IGN for picking very poor questions. I really didn't think that they selected questions that dove deep enough.
Well, I think that, it was a nice idea to ask Bungie anything, but I thought it was terribly implemented doing it on IGN. And, I had posted, I don't know, maybe a month ago, asking Luke Smith to come to the BNet forums and bring other devs. And they did this in year 1 over PvP, where the devs came to the forums and they were in posts and answering questions for an entire day over whatever subject it was. And like I said, I think it was PvP related. But, that's what they need to do. They need to come and go to the BNet forums and go to Reddit too. Go to both of them and have a handful of PvP and PvE developers on each site and say, okay, ask us anything. And not just so when you have your yup and your nope, that there are follow-up questions to that where it can get deeper into these things. And I think that would have been, and honestly, I thought that was kind of, when they said they were going to do the Ask Bungie Anything, it would have been something like that. I was really surprised that it was just this like 10 or 12 questions on IGN with these limited answers. Because even the ones noseworthy, someone asked him about the dedicated servers and whatnot and the cloud servers, and they just referenced a link to the This Week at Bungie that had talked about it and didn't really like get any more in depth with it. And so I don't know. I thought it was an okay idea. I thought it was poorly implemented, and I think that it's something that they should go and have more interaction with the community on and do a real Q&A with the actual community on their own forums.
Wouldn't it be great if they did it on Twitch? Have Deej host a 2-hour question and answer. Have Luke Smith and a couple other devs.
I don't think Twitch would be the way to go, though. I mean, because again, it's going to be cherry-picked questions and answers, and even if it's not, it's going to be perceived as, they're cherry-picking what they want to read off the screen. I think if they go to the forums and they're there and people post threads, here's a question, and put a hashtag at the end in your post title, ask the devs or whatever, and they go into these posts, you have that interaction on that 1-1 level that you don't get over a Twitch stream. And in a Twitch stream, you don't get that follow-up. If you put up a post, why isn't my Guardian talking in D2? Or is my Guardian going to talk in D2? And Luke Smith comes in and says, nope. If you can go and right there in that post follow it up, well, why? That's what they need to have, that level of interaction on these things. And they don't have to talk about things that haven't been announced yet, or things that they don't want to talk about, but things that have been revealed, things that players have questions on, they should be there and they should be answering questions on.
Souls, this is something we've been saying for almost 3 years now. Why, where are the devs on the feedback forums? It's something we've been talking about for a long time. I don't know. I've kind of given up, and I've had better interactions with developers on Twitter. So I don't know if the BNet forums are even the right place for feedback like that anymore. I'm not sure.
Communication has been really bad with Bungie since the beginning, whether it be a cryptic message or nothing at all. They don't seem to ever really answer the question, and they always sort of go around the sides of it. Even when they directly answer it, is your Guardian going to have a voice? Nope. Well, what's their reasoning behind it? I mean, I know why I don't like having the voice, but what was their reasoning? We want to understand where they came from to create the game. And if we can understand where they're coming from, maybe we can understand a lot more of the decisions that they come up with as well.
Well, I think that, like you said, Yunk, there's a lot of communication on Twitter. And I think that communication is night and day from when this game released. And I just think that, again, I wish there was a way that they could build like their Twitter feeds into Bungie.net, and when devs post on things, have that accessible within that. When they're doing interviews on, hey, we did an interview on Crucible Radio, well, link it on the forums. Josh Hamrick's tweeting back and forth on a subject, on Twitter. Put that link there, because there's a lot of communication, but it just doesn't make it to the majority of the player base. And I think that is a huge, huge issue. It's there, just the majority of the players aren't finding it. So we're going to have a little bit shorter program today. Justin's been having some mic issues. So I want to get to our favorite moments of the last week or two playing Destiny. So Yunk, what's been your favorite moment playing?
Well, if anybody has spent much time in PvP on the Sunbreaker Titan, you would know that the thermite grenades are terrible. So I was playing some trials last night, and I had a chatter in the stream who double dog dared me, so I had no choice at this point, to use only thermite grenades for my Sunbreaker. So I put them on, and I actually was able to use them pretty tactically a couple times, and I ended up hopping into a Guardian Theater after one of the matches. We had played against another streamer, and it was down. It was a 4-4 game, so next round to win would take the match, and I threw a thermite grenade on a revive, and the enemy didn't realize it was a thermite grenade because, right, who uses them? And he tried to walk on top of the thermite grenade to get the revive, and we ended up getting the win because of the thermite grenade. And so I hopped in Guardian Theater to watch that game, and the streamer goes, "Oh my goodness, that game was won based on a thermite grenade. Unbelievable." So that's got to be the highlight of my my week, was not only running around with thermite grenades, totally non-meta in trials, but actually getting a kill with it and winning a round and a game because of those terrible grenades. So that's my highlight, and it was fun.
Is that the one that puts the flame wall on the ground, or which one is that?
Exactly. Nobody even knows what it is. But yeah, it does the flame wall grenade that kind of pulses. It's like a really bad lightning grenade, but on the ground.
It is like a really bad lightning grenade on the ground. That's funny. I'd never, ever play the Sunbreaker. I played it when Taken King launched up until they nerfed it, and I went into my first strike on the nerfed Sunbreaker and threw my hammers at the boss and watched it do nothing, and that was it. Never again.
Sunbreaker's gotten popular in trials just because of the double stickies that can regenerate health if you're running the right perks. So you see a lot of Sunbreakers out there, but you don't see a lot of thermite grenades.
Do you think that the Sunbreaker makes an appearance ever in D2, or you think that's it for it? This is its last hurrah?
That's a good question. I'm kind of conflicted on it. If the game doesn't launch with Sunbreaker, I would be disappointed if they use the Sunbreaker again for additional DLC. Bungie gets hit with recycling content all the time, and I can only imagine the outcry if the Sunbreaker, Stormlock, and Night Stalker are DLC content a year from now. I'm not looking forward to that public outcry, but at the same time, it would be a shame for it not to be in the game, because I thought all those classes were really fun and had their utility both in PvE and PvP. So I'd be disappointed if it's not part of the original base game, but I would also be disappointed if they used it pretty much in its current state or without being changed too much as another DLC drop. I think that's maybe a little lazy. I don't know.
There's no way they could bring it back as a DLC drop. They would be crucified for it. But if Destiny 2 does just release with 2 subclasses for each character, do you think that's acceptable?
I do, if the third is something entirely new. Professor Broman, one of the a Destiny streamer, big name, he mentioned something. So the line rifle that they teased with ING was ice cold or freeze your people or something, and there was some wording in there that made it sound like it's maybe possibly a 4th element, or maybe something for a new subclass to be structured around, which I would look forward to. I don't mind them dropping with only 2, but if they add a 3rd, I don't want it to be the recycled Taken King classes. I don't think that would be a good move on their part.
I agree with you on that, Yunk. I don't think that we can have the same subclasses come back from Taken King, and that if they're going to do something, having taken away stuff, I think they need to rethink and come up with something brand new.
Yeah, I'd stay off the feedback forums and social media for like a week or 2 after that, because there'd be a pretty big outcry against Bungie if that were to happen.
So, Justin, what's been your favorite moment of the last week or 2 playing Destiny?
I think in the last couple of weeks, it's been really helping those players that are waves behind the initial crowd, who haven't maybe gotten a raid done or haven't done some of the high-end end game stuff in the game, and just going out, having them join, my clan, or going out and finding LFG groups and helping them really learn and get through something that they haven't been. I mean, for most of us, we've done a lot of what we've been doing the last 3 years. There are some that haven't, and haven't had that chance to experience what Destiny really is, which is a great place to have a good time with a whole bunch of other people. That, to me, has been the best part of the last couple of weeks. Sure, the beta came out, it's exciting, and, that new line rifle and all the good stuff, but helping some of those people who may not have joined us for Destiny 2 because they only patrolled, because they never got to do a Nightfall, or they never got to do a raid or complete that challenge that has been vexing them for the last couple of months. That, to me, was, and really has always been, the best part of Destiny.
And did you have you got everything set for your clan to migrate over to D2?
Yeah, it was really confusing on the 26th, I have to say, with the cryptic how you're supposed to do and what's supposed to happen, but now we've figured out how we're going to do it and how our clan will fit into the architecture that Destiny, or Bungie, has created for Destiny moving forward, and the Wolfpack will be just fine and ready, including people for the PC version when it comes out as well.
So for me, I haven't played a lot of Destiny the last week. Probably Yunk. I don't know that I've really played. We tried trials. You tried carrying us to the lighthouse, and we didn't quite get there. I don't know if we'll be able to try later on today or maybe tomorrow for a last attempt. We'll see how that goes, but that would be cool. But you were talking about, how you stream. And real quickly, Yunk, where can players find you when you stream?
I'm just on Twitch, Pro Yunk. So real easy to find. I've officially dropped the Inator from Pro Yunkinator. So it's just Pro Yunk at Twitch TV. So, and yeah, I'd love to run some trials tonight. I'll be on at about later this evening once the kiddos are in bed.
Well, like I said, I haven't played a lot, but really, getting into watching some Twitch streams has been kind of my favorite thing of the last week or two. It started with checking out Cobb One's stream, and we had him on last week, and he's such an incredible artist. But going to his channel and watching as he actually creates these pieces was something really, really cool. And then today, I was sitting there this afternoon, just killing time before we were going to record, and I saw a tweet come through on my feed from Dan Drumstone, and said he was going to be streaming, and it's Sunday drum time, it said. So I'm like, is he going to be streaming, playing music? And I went to his Twitch, and he's a big time Destiny fan, and he's sitting there on his stream, and he's playing along on his drum set to, people will request songs, and the request will play, and he'll drum along to it. And it was just so fucking cool. And so, it's Dan Drumstone Twitch TV. People should check it out. I mean, there's just so much just cool things being done in this community by so many different people, content creators, artists, musicians. It's just really incredible to see all the different passions people have and how they bring that to this game we all love and share this time in with. And I just hope that in Destiny 2 that it continues to foster, more than anything else, continues to foster the sense of community and the sense of togetherness, and just brings people together like D1 has. That's the magic to me, and that's what, more than anything, I want to see D2 continue to capture.
I just went and followed Dan Drumstone. This looks awesome.
I think you'll like it, Yunk. And yeah, people out there, check out these different people. Go check out Yunk with his thermite grenades decimating people in trials instead of rolling the icebreaker every 5 seconds. Because oh my God, Yunk, when we went and we ran that freaking trials, 30 seconds into it, I just was like, man, I hate Destiny 1 PvP.
Oh man, it's bad, especially when you get to compare it with D2 in the back of your mind. But yeah, I really enjoy what how Destiny has used Twitch to grow its community, and you see the community interact not only just through video games now, but through different charities, and Guardian Con is huge, and next week or in 2 weeks I'm doing a charity stream for the Wounded Warrior Project, and it's cool. Twitch has really, I think, grown the Destiny community by giving it other outlets to be visible to people, which is just super cool to be involved in stuff like that.
Yeah, Twitch is a great medium to allow people to be part of something that they may not always be part of. I mean, some of us play Destiny a lot, but some of us probably don't. You get a little bit of time in, but you can still watch what's going on in the game. You can still see content creators talking about different builds, different weapons. You can see all sorts of different types of people doing all sorts of different types of things in and outside the game, and you can feel like you're part of it, you're belonging to it.
All right, well, that'll be it, I think, for episode 57 of the Destiny Truthcast. Really want to thank both of you for joining us today. Yunk, glad we finally got you back. Justin, glad to finally have you on. Thank you both very much for being here today.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I had a really good time. Hopefully we can do it again, and hopefully those people who watch and listen every week continue to watch and listen every week for what you do have. It's a really awesome part of the community.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, Souls. Was it 38 days until Destiny 2? So countdown is on.
All right, everyone have a great night. Everyone listening, we'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone. That's a wrap.